what your DNA reveals about your energy and fatigue. So if you're exhausted all the time and your doctor says your blood work's fine, this video is for you. I'm 61, I've spent 35 years as a physical therapist. If you're exhausted all the time and your doctors say your blood work is fine, then this video is for you. I'm Nick, I'm 61 and I've spent 35 years as a physical therapist and nutritionist working with elite athletes, and I've seen the same pattern over and over again. Someone comes in exhausted, doctor runs bloods, everything comes back normal. They're told it isn't just stress, it's your age. But they know something's wrong. Here's what doctors aren't telling you. Blood tests show you where you are today. They don't show you where you're heading, and they definitely don't show the genetic reasons why you're exhausted. Now in this video, I'm going to break down the key genetic markers that control energy and fatigue. MTHFR, COMT, mitochondrial genes, VDR variants. I explain what they do, how they do it, who has them, and what you can do about it. By the end, you'll understand why your fatigue isn't just stress. There's a genetic reason, and once you know it, you can fix it. So let's go. So why blood tests miss this? First, let me explain why your doctor's blood tests aren't showing what's wrong. Blood tests measure cholesterol, glucose, thyroid. If you have an MTHFR gene mutation, your body can't convert folic acid into methylfolate, which is the active form, by the way. So even though your blood work shows normal B vitamins, your cells aren't getting what they need. What's the result? Chronic fatigue, brain fog, inflammation. And your doctor says, your blood work's fine. Now this is where DNA testing comes in. DNA testing doesn't show where you are today. It shows how your body processes nutrients, how efficiently your cells produce energy, and how you handle stress at a genetic level, and what you're predisposed to struggle with. Let me break this down. The key genetic markers. The methylation gene, MTHFR. So, what does MTHFR stand for? Methylene this is a tongue twister, methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase. So, don't worry about pronouncing it. Just know what it does. Basically, it converts folic acid, which is the synthetic vitamin, into methylfolate, which is the active form that your body can use. Now, methylfolate is critical for energy production, neurotransmitter synthesis like serotonin, dopamine, and DNA repair, detoxification, reducing homocysteine, which is an inflammatory marker, by the way. If you have an MTHFR gene break, and more than 40% of people do, it means you can't process folic acid properly. What's the result? Chronic fatigue, even after 8 hours sleep, brain fog, memory issues, anxiety, depression. These things just won't shift. Elevated inflammation, increased cardio risk, higher dementia risk over time, and here's the crucial irony. Most people with Most people with MTHFR mutations are taking multivitamins with folic acid. Yes, multivitamins with folic acid. And folic acid makes it even worse, because it blocks the receptors that methylation needs to use. Blocks them. Kind of like carbon monoxide does to the hemoglobin. So you're taking a supplement thinking you're actually helping yourself, when really you're making the problem worse. How do you know that you have it? Well, here's a symptom checklist. Are you exhausted even after taking a full night's sleep? Do supplements not seem to have the benefit that you're looking for? Do you have anxiety or depression resistant to treatment? Do you bruise easily or have clotting issues? Is there a family history of heart disease or dementia? Now, if you've checked yes to 3 or more of these, then you might have an MTHFR gene variant. So what do you do about it? Well, first, stop taking folic acid and all vitamins containing it and all food containing it. Second, switch to methylfolate, which is the active form that your body can actually use. Third, add methylated B12 because it works synergistically. Fourth, support with cofactors like magnesium, zinc and B6 and B2 where needed. But you first need to have a test. Don't guess. DNA testing shows exactly which MTHFR variants you have. Now, is it the C677T or the A1298C or both? That determines your dosage and protocol. This alone has changed lives for clients. Next, COMT, the stress gene. COMT stands for catechol or methyltransferase, but again, you don't have to remember that. You can just stick to COMT. Just understand what it does. It breaks down stress hormones. It breaks down stress hormones and neurotransmitters. What are they? Specifically, dopamine, adrenaline and noradrenaline, or if it's American, epinephrine and norepinephrine. Think of it as your body's stress cleanup crew. Now, some people have fast COMT and they clear stress hormones quickly. The result is, what do you think? They handle stress well. They're calm under pressure. They bounce back fast. Some people, on the other hand, have slow COMT. They clear stress hormones slowly. So the result is hormones accumulate. They feel wired but tired. You've heard that, haven't you? Anxiety spikes and they can't switch it off. Now, if you've got slow COMT, this is how you're going to feel. You're going to be a worrier. You might experience being wired but feeling exhausted, where you can't relax even when you're tired. Anxiety feels constant, overthinking everything, trouble falling asleep because your mind just won't shut off. Sensitivity to stress, where small things feel overwhelming. And coffee makes you jittery because you're a slow caffeine metabolizer. Here's where it gets interesting with the magnesium connection. COMT requires magnesium to function. If you're slow COMT and you're not taking the right form of magnesium, you're actually making it worse. So most people take magnesium citrate. Now, great if you can't go to the toilet, but poor absorption. Magnesium oxide, even worse, great for the toilet, but having said that, really poor absorption. Slow COMT needs magnesium glycinate. It supports COMT function and promotes calm. Glycinate being a neurotransmitter itself. So what do you do about it? If your COMT is slow, you need magnesium glycinate. Reduce your caffeine because you don't metabolize it well. You need to manage stress proactively through meditation, the right kind, breath work, walks. Avoid high stress environments. That's the environments that you find stressful to you, if possible. And you need to prioritize sleep because slow COMT gets worse with sleep deprivation. Now, if you fast COMT, you can handle a lot more stress. So you might need more stimulation to feel motivated. It's a completely different supplement strategy. Here's the thing, you can't know which you are without testing. I've had clients who were fast COMT taking magnesium glycinate and wondering why they felt flat. And slow COMT clients drinking 4 coffees a day wondering why they felt anxious all the time. Like racing. DNA testing removes the guesswork. So let's talk about mitochondria. They're the cell's powerhouse. They produce ATP. They work in sequence, sequentially. There's not just one, there's many of them, and they communicate with each other. Now, ATP is your body's energy currency. If mitochondria aren't working efficiently, you're exhausted, no matter what you do. Now, there are several genes that control mitochondrial function. There's PGC1A, which controls mitochondrial biogenesis, basically making new mitochondria. There's SIRT1, SIRT1, which controls mitochondrial health and longevity. Then there's SOD2, which handles antioxidant defense in mitochondria. And there's UCP genes that control energy efficiency. Now, if you have variants in any of these genes, your mitochondria produce less ATP. Less ATP, less energy, less output. So the result's chronic fatigue at a cellular level. Poor exercise recovery. What you would call brain fog, because your brain uses 20% of your overall ATP. Muscle weakness and premature aging. Here's the NAD plus connection. Your mitochondria need NAD plus, which is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, to produce energy. Now, as you age, NAD declines. If you also have mitochondrial gene variants, the decline is even steeper. This is why some 60-year-olds have incredible energy and others are just exhausted. Genetics. So what do you do about it? If you have mitochondrial gene variants, you need NAD plus precursors like NMN or NR supplements. You need coenzyme CQ10, which is essential for ATP, and also PQQ, which supports mitochondrial biogenesis. You need resistance training because it signals your body to make more mitochondria. The coenzyme CQ10 or ubiquinol and PQQ do two things. They help boost mitochondrial production and also mitochondrial enhancement. So the upshot is you have more mitochondria and you have a more upgraded mitochondria. Hence they produce more energy. Resistance training is definitely needed because it signals your body to make more mitochondria. Intermittent fasting can boost NAD plus and mitochondrial function if you get it right. But again, you need to know which genes you have. Some people have variants that respond incredibly well to NAD plus boosters and others don't. DNA testing shows you exactly what your mitochondria need. NAD boosters like NMN and NR. I personally have used both these and I personally thought that the NMN worked better for me than the NR at a dosage of 1 gram per day. The NMN, nicotinamide mononucleotide, definitely worked best for me. There's the NR, the nicotine ribose, which some people prefer. So lastly, VDR. This stands for vitamin D receptor. Now, this gene determines how well your body uses vitamin D. Now, here's the problem. People think I'll just take vitamin D3 supplements and then I'm fine. Well, not if you have a VDR variant. So, vitamin D isn't just about bones. It's involved in various immune functions, mood regulation, where it affects serotonin, energy production, inflammation control and muscle function, just to mention a few. So if you have VDR variant, standard vitamin D won't work. Your receptors just cannot use it efficiently. So what are the symptoms of VDR variants? This would again include low energy, frequent infections, a weakened immune response, mood issues like depression or just feeling low, low motivation, muscle weakness, pain, and recovery basically from illness. Fibromyalgia benefits greatly from high doses of vitamin D3 with K2. So what do you do about this then? If you have gene variants, so you need higher doses of vitamin D3. The baseline for vitamin D was, as stated by Google, 4,000 international units. Now that has recently been amended. It's been worked out at 8,895 international units. So that means if you just have a normal life and you sit a lot and you're not really active or anything else, and you live in the UK, you're going to have to take more than 8,895. If you live in a country where you get the average amount of sun, that's fine for you. But that is your baseline. Your baseline. This is not my interpretation, it is your baseline. That is for somebody who's not using up large amounts of vitamin D3. In a country like the UK, well, I personally take 20 international units of vitamin D3 a day and I feel okay. If ever that starts to drop slightly, I will boost it to 30,000 and then I start to feel much better. But that's myself. I'm not saying that you should do that. I'm just talking personally. But the baseline recommendation is 8,895. So we're looking at about 10,000 IU. So you always need vitamin K2 with this, which is nattokinase, because it works synergistically with the vitamin D. You also need magnesium because it's required for vitamin D activation. And you need regular testing. Aiming for blood tests, I'm aiming for blood test levels around 60 to 80 nanograms per milliliter. Without DNA testing, you're still guessing. I had clients taking 10,000 IU of vitamin D and they were still deficient. We tested VDR variants, needed cofactors, added K2 and magnesium, problem solved. Now let's look at a real example. A client came to me, Jonty, wanting answers. Not sick, not broken, but not thriving either. So he'd been doing all the right things, which is clean diet, hard training, taking supplements. Something still wasn't right, and now he could feel it. His energy wasn't optimal, his stress response felt rather extreme, he's working hard but not getting the results that he expected, so we ran a DNA test and the results were fascinating. So first, the good news. Jonty had some genetic advantages that most people don't have. He has a FOXO3 longevity gene, so these are found in people who live to 90 plus, which is rather exceptional. He has excellent MTHFR function. His methylation pathway works perfectly. No issues converting B complex, or no issues converting B vitamins. And he has superior satiety control, which means natural appetite regulation. So he doesn't struggle with hunger signals. Now, these are genetic gifts. Most people don't have all three, but here's where it gets interesting. Even though he has those advantages, he also has 4 significant genetic vulnerabilities, let's say. So first, COMT. Now COMT is, people call it the warrior variant. Now remember earlier when I talked about slow COMT? So Jonty has it. His body breaks down dopamine and stress hormones slowly. Now what does this mean? As we said earlier, it means that stress hormones linger for longer. He's wired but exhausted. Now coffee, which most people use for energy, was making him worse. More wired, more jittery. So he's overthinking everything, which is a classic warrior gene. Second, testosterone. Weight gain, susceptibility. Now this was critical. He has genetic variants that make him highly susceptible to hormone-driven fat accumulation, even with good satiety control. If his hormones are off, his body will store fat, preferably. Thirdly, telomere shortening risk. That's the TERC gene, TERC. Now telomeres are the protective end caps at the end of the DNA strands, like the double full stops before the next piece of information starts, or the bookends. So every time your cell divides, telomeres get shorter. When they get too short, what does that mean? It means accelerated aging, disease risk increases. Jonty has TERC variants that means his telomeres are shortening faster than average. So his DNA isn't repairing optimally. Without intervention, he is aging faster biologically than chronologically. Fourth, liver fat accumulation risk. Now, he has a genetic predisposition to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So even without excessive alcohol, his liver is at risk of fat accumulation. This affects everything, doesn't it? Energy production, detoxification, hormone metabolism. Now here's the powerful part. Knowing this, we could build a protocol that leverages genetic advantages like longevity genes, good methylation, satiety control, while protecting against genetic risks like telomeres, stress response, hormone-driven weight gain, and liver health. Here's the protocol we built. First of all, magnesium glycinate, which is critical for slow COMT support. Now, not magnesium oxide or citrate unless you need to go to the toilet. Glycinate, because this is magnesium attached to a glycine molecule. Now, this forms support for COMT function and promotes CAR for the warrior gene. So this is a non-negotiable. Second, methylated B complex. Now, even though his MTHFR function is excellent, we added this to support overall methylation. Methylation affects everything: DNA repair, neurotransmitter production, detoxification. So it's a good support system there. The third is L-methylfolate plus vitamin D3 and K2 combo, specifically for DNA repair and telomere production. So his TERC gene meant we needed to be aggressive about protecting his telomeres even. Methylfolate supports this process. D3 and K2 work synergistically. You must have the K2 in order to clear the calcium from your blood. Fourth, curcumin, 8,000 milligrams or more with piperine. Now this is a powerful DNA protectant. It reduces inflammation at a genetic level. It protects telomeres from oxidative stress. It supports liver health, critical, given that it's a genetic risk for him. The piperine, which is a black pepper extract, increases the absorption by 2,000%. Now fifth is the coffee reduction. Now this was difficult for him because he's a coffee lover, but COMT gene warrior means he couldn't handle it. So we cut him down from 4 cups a day to 2 cups maximum. So the difference is immediate. Sixth, the nutritional strategy, specific foods, salmon and oily fish 3 to 4 times a week, omega-3s for DNA protection and inflammation control. Now blueberries daily for powerful antioxidants and for telomere production. You could also add something like terrestralbine for this. Green tea, because of EGCG and catechin polyphenols, support DNA health. And seventh, eliminate high fructose corn syrup. Now this was a non-negotiable, because HCFCs, this is metabolized directly by the liver and it drives fat accumulation. So what's the result? This is a clear roadmap, zero guesswork. The longevity genes, protecting methylation, natural satiety control, while actively protecting against his genetic risks, which is telomere shortening, stress response, hormone-driven weight gain, and fat accumulation. This is what DNA testing does. It doesn't tell you just what vitamin to take to reduce stress. It shows you exactly where your body is strong and where it's vulnerable and what it needs to thrive, and what dosages are right for your genetics. No guesswork. Jonty's protocol is unique to him. It wouldn't work for somebody with fast COMT. It wouldn't work for somebody with MTHFR mutations either. It works for him because it's his own DNA telling the story. Now, this is precision. This is not guesswork, so it's no more time wasting, no more wasting money or time on supplements that don't match your genetics. Just targeted, strategic, DNA guided optimization. This is the power of knowing your genetic blueprint. So, what do we do next? Here's what you need to know. If you're exhausted and doctors say that you're fine, it's not in your head. There's a genetic reason. The key genes affecting your energy, MTHFR for methylation and B vitamin processing, COMT stress response, and neurotransmitter clearance. mitochondrial genes for ATP production, VDR for vitamin D receptor function, and of course your TERC genes, which is telomere production. And then there's your longevity genes, your FOXO3. These are pretty rare, pretty magic genes. You can't fix what you don't know. So blood tests alone won't show you these things, but DNA testing will. What DNA testing reveals is which genetic variants you have, why you're exhausted, what supplements your body actually needs, what dosages are right for your genetics, what lifestyle changes you actually need to make, what's going to move the needle, where you're genetically strong and where you're genetically vulnerable. Now, there's no guesswork in this. It's absolute precision. The evidence can't lie, as Grissom would say, and your DNA can't lie. It's telling your story to you. So here's how you get started. I offer a £50 clarity call for 60 minutes, and in that 60 minutes we'll discuss what you're experiencing, what your genetics might reveal, whether DNA testing is right for you, and what the process looks like. Now, there's no pressure and there's no sales pitch, just an honest conversation. Where do we go from here? Links in the bio, or DM me on Instagram, Nick@Action4Health, and I'll send you the information. Because you don't have to live exhausted, you just need to know why your body's struggling, and your DNA has the answer. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you, then hit the like button and subscribe for more DNA guided health content. Drop a comment below. What's your biggest energy struggle? Resources are in the description. There's a free guide called 5 Genetic Truths Your Doctor Will Never Test For, and also the DNA Clarity Call booking link. And there's my Instagram for daily content. Remember, your fatigue isn't just stress. There's a genetic reason. Find it, fix it, live better. See you in the next one.